We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagum Sastanobihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddashrabaha स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षोररिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We are doing Shankaracharya Bashyam on Mandukya Upanishad. We are in the very first chapter out of the 4 chapters of Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad consists of 12 mantras of the Upanishad, and we have a brilliant commentary on these 12 mantras from Gaudapadacharya. And then we have Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, again a commentary on the 225 verses of Gaudapadacharya. For almost each verse, Shankaracharya writes 15, 20 verses. So we have 400, 500 verses of Shankaracharya to analyze and understand this Upanishad. This is the most intensive Upanishad which you study amongst the 10 Upanishad, because Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and Chandogya Upanishad are too voluminous. Whereas when you take the rest of the Upanishads, out of the 10 Upanishads, if you remove the Brihadaranyaka and Chandogya, the rest of the Upanishads are all, right from Mundaka Upanishad, which is then Prashno Upanishad. These two Upanishads are connected. Prashnopanishad is a commentary on Mundaka Upanishad. Ishavasya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is a commentary on Ishavasya Upanishad. One is a Brahmana Upanishad, another is a Mantra Upanishad. So when you consider the other Upanishads, there are two main Upanishads which, when we study, we are able to understand the significance of the teaching of the Upanishads, which is Mandukya and Taittiriya. Because one talks about the Panchakoshas, another talks about the 3 avasthas. So both these, when we study, because we can study this entire Upanishad philosophically and academically. That is one way of studying. The second method is subjectively studying the Upanishads, trying to understand how does the Upanishad reveal the highest truth of this world in my own body-mind complex. So for the second aspect of the teaching, for the second method of learning, so one is academic, which you study the meaning and you say that this is what the Upanishads are conveying. The second method is subjective method. For the subjective method, Taittiriya Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Keno Upanishad, these 3 Upanishads are very, very effective, because it goes directly and tells us that there is something in this body-mind complex which is a truth of not only this body-mind complex, but it is the truth of the entire universe. Very, very big truth. But how do I realize it? How do I understand it, first of all? Understanding itself is difficult, because the 12 mantras, if you study on your own without any bhashyam, you will not get a head or tail of what the Upanishads are talking about. So I will now go where we stopped. We are in the second Karika, the second verse of Mandukya Bashyam by Gaudapadacharya. Okay, the second mantra, very second mantra, because in this mantra, there are 9 mantras which are explaining or expanding on the teaching of the first 6 mantras of the Upanishad. We have already covered the first 6 mantras. Out of the 12 mantras, we have covered 6 mantras. On those 6 mantras, Gaudapadacharya has written a commentary. That is what we are studying. So you should know exactly what we are doing, because this text is very huge. 225 verses, very, very huge. But all these are all linked. If you understand the first portion, you will understand the second. If you understand the second, you will go to the third. It's a graduation. Gradually, the intensity of and the depth of the Bhashyam grows gradually when you move into the fourth chapter. You will see it, because every verse gives you some depth of the knowledge of the Upanishads. So let me go to the section which we were discussing last week, and so what we were discussing is this portion of Agama Prakaranam. This is just a revision for you. Introduction of the 12 Upanishad is mantra 1 and 2. Mantra 3 to 7 is the Atma Vichara. This is the original Upanishad. Mantra 8 to 12 is Omkara Vichara. Okay. And then 29 Karikas are in the first chapter. 29 verses. For the first 6 verses, there are 9 commentaries. For the seventh mantra, there is 9 commentaries, 9 verses. From the 8th to 11th mantra, there are 5 verses, which are comments. And the last one, the 12th mantra, that is 6 comments. Okay, so this is the broad picture. So whenever we are entering the study, you must keep this chart in front of you and say, where are we? Because then only you will understand. You can see this is only the first chapter, which is called as Agama Prakara. So this is the bird's eye view of the whole chapter. Now, this is where we stopped last week. And here, the background of this portion in the second Karika, Shankaracharya tries to, and Gaudapadacharya, both of them, they try to give us something new about the Sushupti Avastha. Today, we will be studying only the second Karika. And we will analyze how and what exactly they are saying about the sleep. Because many times, now this is a technical analysis. Why do we need this technical analysis? Because ultimately, I want moksha. Don't forget the goal. Today, I am identified the eye which I have is attached to the body. Throughout the study of my Upanishadic study, I have to keep in mind, I have to drop this identification and have a new identification. The new identification is called as Turiyam. What is the Turiyam? We'll discuss. But broadly, what are we trying to do? You should know. Now, Shankaracharya, in his commentary on the second verse, he takes up Chandogya Upanishad, 1 verse, and he analyzes that in about 60 slides like this. So for the next up to slide number 455 or something, we will be doing the second Karika itself. That means for the next 40, 50 slides, we will be just doing only Karika number 2. And the main thing we are going to discuss is the Sushupti, what happens exactly in Sushupti Avastha. This is the subject matter. So Mandukya is an intensive study, very, very intensive study. When you go through this portion, you will understand how studying Bhashyam helps us to reach our final goal. While doing this Bhashyam itself, you'll know, oh, this is the truth. Okay. Here, Shankaracharya talks about chapter 6 to 1. In the Sanskrit, it is mentioned as 3 to 1. It is wrong. It is 6 to 1. It has been corrected in the English version, which I have typed. Now, in the 6th chapter, what does it say? There is a verse. I will show you the verse, then you will understand the full meaning of it. In Chandogya Upanishad, it says very clearly, before this whole world originated, there was something called as Sat. Sat is the same thing as Brahman or Turiyam. Okay, so first lesson is what? There is something called as pure existence without the world. Okay, and that Sat is called as Brahman, and same Sat is called as Turiyam in Mandukya. In the verse number 6 to 1, there is a word which is called prana. Normally, Vachyartha prana is what? The breath. But in this particular verse, Sat has got a special meaning. Prana has got a special meaning. And what is that special meaning? The special meaning is Brahman. So prana is also called as Brahman. In this is a special meaning, contextual meaning. Don't take this as the normal meaning for prana. So Purva Pakshi means opponent, asks this question. Prana refers to Sushupti Avastha. Okay. Prana is equal to Sat. Now, you tell me, Shankaracharya, is prana a karanam or a karanam? A karanam means it is not a karanam. Karanam means it is a cause. So this Brahman or Turiyam which existed before the creation, is it a cause of the creation or it is not a cause of the creation? That is the question. Very in-depth question. You can imagine how Shankaracharya writes such a commentary. Karanam, if you say, it is called as Sabija Sat. I cannot avoid Sanskrit words because that is the only way I can explain what the Bhashyam is. A Karanam is called as Nirbija Sat. Bijam means seed. Sabijam means what? It is seed of the creation. Akaranam means it is not a seed of the creation, which is pure Brahman, which is Nirgunam Brahman. Now here, this is the question posed by an opponent and for which Shankara has to give a reply. That is what now we are entering. This debate is going to go on till the end of the 452. That means another 40, 50 slides. You must keep at the background what we are discussing. Okay? Naisha doshaha. There is no defect. There is no problem. I will explain to you. Don't worry. There is no problem of prana not meaning Avyakrita as the Sushupti, in the Sushupti Avastha in Chandogya. Now, I will explain to you how prana is explained in Chandogya Upanishad, that's 682. Now, the pure Brahman can exist with Maya or it can exist without Maya. Maya means avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Ignorance about itself. So try to understand. Here we are talking about Brahman's ignorance. So that Brahman can exist, forgetting itself that it is Brahman. That is what we call it as Maya Shakti. Then what happens? When that ignorance is attached to that pure Sat, it is called as Bija Atma. Suppose you remove the ignorance, it is called as Nirbija Atma. Okay, so we are going step by step trying to understand, but we have to reach a long way. But don't worry, you will get the entire reply very, very easily once you go through these 40-50 slides. So prana is referred as Sat Brahman only in that mantra. That is what Shankaracharya is going to explain to us. It has not given up the status of being the cause for the creation. See, whenever we see the creation, we have to remember all the three padas. First pada, second pada, third pada. First pada is waking, second pada is dream, third pada is sleep. So what Shankaracharya says is, right in the beginning itself, in the first six mantras itself, Upanishad is trying to introduce to us there is something which is beyond the three avasthas. What gives us liberation? What gives us moksha? What is the ultimate goal of all the seekers? The ultimate goal is to understand the fourth pada. The third pada is called as Antaryami or Ishvara pada. That is where the whole universe resolves in sleep. In that Ishvara pada, it is Maya Sahitam Brahman. Brahman is still there. The pure existence is still there, but it is with the power of Maya, Maya Shakti. The fourth pada is called as Karya Karana Vilakshana Turiyam Brahma. It is beyond the cause and the effect. This portion is extremely important. Try to get it. If you don't get it, you ask me in the chat. At the end of the talk, I will try to re-explain to you. So this is the way to understand. See, the whole purpose of the entire Veda is moksha purushartha. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We have studied this in Tattva. Here we are trying to understand how to gain that moksha by studying this Mandukya. Shankaracharya is saying here, understand the third pada and the fourth pada very, very clearly. Many seekers, many students of Vedanta, they have studied almost all the Upanishads, but they have not understood this portion. It remains gray, but Shankaracharya breaks up the entire analysis very beautifully in this section. Upanishad revelation is amazing because it reveals the ultimate truth. And Shankaracharya is brilliant. When you study, especially Mandukya Upanishad, these notes which I have got here, if you study this after the class, then you will understand the depth of these notes. And I have also circulated about 40, 50 pages. Many of you had written to me. I have circulated that special notes on the summary of this entire 29 verses of the first chapter. So simultaneously, when you look at that summary and then look at the commentary and then look at the notes, it's a complete, as good as a study which you can ever do in Vedanta. I mean, these are brilliant sessions which gives you the depth of the Vedanta, and many seekers will get liberated. See, what happens is when your intellect goes through this analysis in this fashion as Shankara is teaching, the same intellect will say, yes, it is the truth. If Shankaracharya has understood the truth and he has written these words, then our intellect, you don't have to worry. Is my intellect, do I have sadhana chatushtaya sampatti? Do I have viveka? Do I have vairagyam? Or don't worry about all. Just follow the analysis. Okay. Student, normally we should note that Nirguna Brahman Turiyam alone gives liberation. There is, suppose you say, I know the waking state, I know the dream state, I know the sleep state. This will not give you liberation. You will understand yourself better. That's all. But what gives liberation is the knowledge that there is something. Same thing we are going to, we will be studying on Saturdays after 4 5 sessions, after 4 5 weeks in Kathopanishad. I'm going to take Kathopanishad for the Saturday sessions. There also the same Turiyam is going to be discussed. So the student, he stares at the face of the teacher. He says, I can't understand Nirguna Brahman. What are you saying? Upanishad is forced to reveal Brahman by a special method which is called as Adhyaropa Apavada. Try to understand this. I have repeated this many times. But when you do it here in Mandukya, it will be crystal clear. Adhyaropa means the first three states. Apavada means the fourth state, which is Turiya. At the Apavada state, Apavada means what? Negation. Adhyaropa means what? Superimposition. What are we superimposing and what are we negating? We are first superimposing the three states and the three prapanchas, the three worlds of waking, dream, and sleep. Where are we superimposing? We are superimposing on Turiyam Brahma, the first stage. What is the second stage? Apavada. In Apavada, what are we doing? We are saying that there is no waking, there is no dream, there is no sleep, you remove these three as mithya. Mithya means it appears, but it is not a fact. Like what? Like the dream. Dream appears, but it is not a fact. Nobody takes dream to be a fact. So similarly, when you do this negation in the seventh mantra of the Upanishad, that is called as apavada. When you do this, what happens? When you remove the world, what remains is Turiya. That is how the methodology of revelation in this Upanishad and all Upanishads. That is how all the Upanishads, the truth is revealed. So in the first three paras, that Karana Brahman, now try to understand the words. Karanam Brahman means what? That pure state, pure moksha state called as Turiyam state, that is not Karan. Then it is with Maya Shakti, and we are analyzing the world, that is called as Karanam Brahma. That means what? Brahman has got is married to the Maya Shakti, and it is ready for creation, ready for projecting the world. That Mrs. Brahman is called as Maya or Mula Avidya. Mula Avidya means what? Total ignorance about that pure Turiyam Brahma. That is what we experience in our sleep. In our sleep state, what we are experiencing is, I really don't know myself. I don't know the world. I don't know who is the creator and so on. All these three, Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara, completely is resolved. And that Upanishad says is the Karanam status. Okay. First, we introduce the word, we give it Karyam status. What is the Karyam? Waking and dream is Karyam. Karyam means what? It is the product of the Karanam, which is the sleep state. This is, if you can understand this, then we go to the Chandogya Upanishad. यथा सौम्यकेन मृत्पिंडेन सर्वं मृण्मयं विज्ञातम्. What does this mean? It means that by knowing one lump of clay, which is the Karanam, I will be able to know all the products of clay. So, by knowing the Karana Avastha Ishvara, Antaryami Ishvara, Antaryami, why I'm using this word is very beautiful word in Mandukya. Antaryami means it is there in all of us. You see, it is like the seed which is there in me. That seed is what is projecting this waking state and the dream state. And then again, I go back to the seed state, which is the sleep state. This is a beautiful revelation of our experiences. So here, Chandogya Upanishad, Shankaracharya quotes very, very relevant quotation for this second Karika. So any product has existence only when there is a Karana. So when you want to negate the karyam, when you negate the karyam, suppose in the sleep state, what happens? The karyam means what? Waking is not there in sleep. Dream is not there. So karyam is gone. When karyam is gone, that Brahman which was called as Karanam, that Karanam status also goes away. That is what Shankaracharya explains. And then what you realize? I am Nirguna Turiya Brahman, which is beyond the world, which is beyond Karanam and Karma. This final portion is called as Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana, which is the Mahavakyam analysis. So, that pure consciousness, pure existence has got another version with the world, with the body, with the mind, and all the human beings. So, when you begin with Akaranam Brahma, that means that pure existence, pure consciousness, soon comes to Karanam Brahma, then this is the methodology which is called as the Adhyaropa stage. The same thing is analyzed in Panchadasi, 6th chapter. Okay. And in the Panchadasi, Sureshwaracharya, the Purva Pakshi quotes Sureshwaracharya, Vatikam on the same Mandukya Upanishad, and also he talks about he talks about Sureshwaracharya's Naishkarmya Siddhi. See, this ignorance that Mula Vidya is explained very, very beautifully, but it is very, very, very difficult to understand. It is in Naishkarmi Siddhi. There's a text called Naishkarmi Siddhi. In either, I think it is the beginning of chapter 2 or 3. I forget, but if somebody is interested, I can refer and tell him. Now, coming back to this analysis of the Chandogya Upanishad, now Shankaracharya introduces another verse. Now, this is from Taittiriya Upanishad. All this is trying to do what? He's trying to analyze the Sushupti Avastha. Don't forget, what we are trying to analyze is the sleep state. And what exactly happens in the sleep state? Because this explanation of the sleep state and what lies beyond the sleep state is a very, very difficult exercise for all seekers. But then when you study the analysis of Shankaracharya, your mind will be able to accept what the Upanishad says as the truth. In Taittiriya Upanishad, we have all done this. On Saturday classes, we have done this. The first mantra says that Brahman here is the ultimate truth. Same Turiya. He who knows that truth in the cave of his heart. You see, what Shankaracharya is coming back and saying is, don't try to look for Brahman and Turiyam and all that. Where is that truth? Where is that Turiyam? He says, look at into your cave of your own intellect, and you will find that there is something which is transcendent uh, nature of Atma. See, Akasha, that means what he says is transcendent Akasha. Here, transcendent Akasha means you go beyond Akasha. And when you say beyond Akasha, there is only one. That is Atma. That is Atma. The very next verse, the second verse talks about Tasmat Eva Etasmat Atmanaha Akasha Sambhuta. From that Turiya Atma, from that Brahman, the creation comes. The moment you say creation comes means what? Brahman, pure Brahman has got married to Maya Shakti, and that Brahman with the Maya Shakti, which is the sleep state, has started functioning. Okay, so Karanam Brahma in Taittiriya Upanishad, in this mantra which is referred here, it is not Satyam Turiyam Brahma, but it is Maya Mithya Brahman, which is the Ishvara status. See, the difference between Ishvara and Brahman. Ishvara is Brahman plus Maya Shakti. Brahman means it is pure Brahman, which is without the Maya Shakti. Moksha is possible only when you know the pure Brahman, which exists beyond the sleep state. It is not the sleep state. Okay. So in the Taittiriya Upanishad, in the first verse of the second chapter, which we have seen just now in the previous page, this one and the next one, Brahman gets married, and what we get is Ishvara. What is the definition of Ishvara? Maya Sahitam Brahma. That is called as Karanam. And what is Turiyam? Turiyam is beyond Karanam and Karma. Try to understand this. This is a very, very important teaching in the Mandukya Upanishad. Very, very important, because on this, if you understand the difference between Atma and the Sushipti Avastha, you will then follow all the following 200 verses. Okay? So, the waking world, dream world, and the sleep world together is called as avidya. Avidya means it is state of ignorance. That is why whenever you try to identify, even the people who have done PhDs in science, they will say that, okay, we have only studied a small portion of this, but there is something bigger, which I still don't know. So every PhD student will say there is something which I still don't know. Why? Because the world, the fundamental basis of the entire creation is Maya. It is Maya means it is ignorance. Ignorance about the original I. Therefore, because it is Maya, it is like the rope snake. Now you understand the rope snake example. Waking dream and sleep is equivalent to that rope snake. But what is the rope? Rope is the Turi Adhisthana. All appearances of the waking dream and sleep are mithya. Okay. Shankaracharya quotes another example, another verse from the Taittiriya Upanishad, and he says that pure Brahman wanted to create the world, project the world for the benefit of the jivas to get liberated. That is this mantra. Okay. And there is another verse in Taittiriya. Shankaracharya quotes all this in his Bhashya. Yatho vacho nivartante. That pure Atma, Turiyam Atma, you cannot explain. No words can go there. There is no thought which can go reach Brahman. So the one who knows that pure existence which exists not in the sleep state, you don't come to know that Brahman in the sleep state. No, you only know that Brahman in the waking state. So while concluding, Upanishad reveals a Karanam Brahma again in the fourth chapter. See, in the fourth chapter, after doing all this analysis, the fourth chapter is a full analysis of this Akaranam Brahma. Akaranam Brahma means it is not the cause of the universe, it is pure existence. By knowing that only I get moksha. Because if I say I am not these three, automatically if you have heard, there is something which is pure without the mithya world, then this is called as your moksha. In Nirguna Brahman, there is no more Karana Shariram or Karana Prapancha or Mula Avidya. Jiva merges into that Nirgunam Brahman and he no more takes this three avasthas as Satya. The three avasthas will still be appearing and disappear for a jnani also. But because he has understood what is his real self, he will not take these three avasthas as Satyam, but he will take it as Mithya. That is why Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. This sentence which gives Shankaracharya's central theme of all the 10 Upanishads, which is what does he say in all the 10 Upanishad Bhashyam, is this one line, which I just said, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. So, what Shankaracharya says is, in our sleep state, we only go to the level of Karanam Karma, not Karya Karana Vilakshana. Karya Karya Vilakshanam is only a knowledge. It is only a, a knowledge which is given by Veda Praman. So he says that Jivas come back every day from sleep, means they come back from the Maya Sahitam Brahma. Okay. So the Sat Brahman of Chandogya Upanishad is the third pada. It is not the fourth pada. Fourth pada is a Nirbija Avastha. Okay. That is what he said. Now, this is the mantra 682. This is the mantra of Chandogya Upanishad, which we are analyzing in this session and maybe the next session also. We'll be doing the same analysis because this is a very intense analysis. As you go by, you'll see more intensity. Now here, this is where it says prana bandhanam hi somya manaha iti. Prana. Here, see in this verse, the verse talks about a bird which goes around the whole world in the waking state and comes back to sleep in the nest. Similarly, the jiva bird goes around fluttering in all the experiences in the waking state. Ultimately, it comes back to its home. What is that home? Atma home. That home is what is being analyzed. Sushupti Vichara Prakaranam is what Shankaracharya says we are dealing with. Jiva Prasava Bijakmana, that means Karana Ajnanam is called as Mula Avidya. Okay, so during sleep, what happens? Only the Mula Avidya, Karana Avidya exists. That in sleep, okay, when you look at the other one, you will understand what it means. In the sleep state, the only thing which exists, there is no world because none of the sense organs are functioning. There is no mind. So what happens? There is only ignorance about myself, which is called as Mula Avidya. Myself here means what? That I do exist. You see, this is where you have to understand. We exist in the sleep state. What is that existence? What is the form of that existence? That is what is being analyzed. There is no abhimana. Abhimana means there is no ego that I am this body, I am this mind. That ego is not there. Now, when this ego is given up, ajnanam is not given up. So, in the sleep state, ego is not there, but ignorance about my nirguna avastha is there. If you give up ajnanam in sushupti, shastram will not be required. Suppose you say, I don't have any ignorance about myself in the sleep state. I am pure Brahman. Then what happens? Then this Shastra teaching, Guru is not required, class is not required. Ajnana does not go away because it see what we are trying to say is there is something which is there in the sleep state. In the sleep state, there is both. There is pure Brahman and there is also ignorance. So this particular session, which we are now discussing, is a very important session because this is where the ultimate success of learning the Upanishad comes in. Okay. Next commentary of Shankaracharya, he is explaining the word prana a little bit more deeper. What is the bija prana? I mean, as we study more and more of this, you will study. Just to give you the background, the verse, the second Karika is this verse. Vishwa works in the right eye, Taijasa works in the mind, Prajna works in the heart. So it is the three headquarters of one Atma. You see, this is the actual mantra which we are trying to do now, the second mantra, the second Karika. But in this analysis of the second Karika, we are trying to understand Mandukya verse number 6, which says that Ishvara is the controller of the sleep state. Not only of the sleep state, it is the controller of the Karana Avastha. Okay, so now you know the first thing is we are trying to understand the sixth mantra. In the sixth mantra, we are trying to understand Karika number 2. In Karika number 2, Shankaracharya is analyzing Chandra. See how much connection is there, how much of references we have to look at when we study Bhashya. In the sixth mantra of Mandukya, there are 4 titles given to Ishvara. What are the 4 titles? Sarva Yoni, Sarva Ishvara, Sarva Antaryami, Sarva Jnaha. Okay, these are the 4 titles. Just keep it at the back of your mind. In the waking state, we make a difference between Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti means individual, the total. I am there, world is there. Vyashti means I, the body mind complex. And different than me is the world. That is why it is called as Dvaita. Okay. Now, in the sleep state, Prajna and Ishvara. Prajna means the individual. Ishvara is the total. But there is no difference. This is what Shankaracharya is trying to tell us. This is what this aspect of Advaitam will be revealed to us in the seventh month. And this aspect will be, Shankaracharya will use this aspect of Dvaitam, Advaitam, this difference, when he tries to say what is the truth of the world. And when he debates with the other Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Purva Mimamsa, all these are all different philosophers. When he debates with the other philosophers, including science, science is also taken up for analysis in the Brahma Sutra. And uh, uh, when we analyze this, he will talk about this aspect of Dvaitam and Advaita. That is why Vedanta is called as Advaita philosophy. Advaita philosophy means what? We are talking about a state in which there is no difference between a jiva and an Ishvara. Okay? There's no difference. They merge into one. The world which we see in the waking state, it is an appearance of that pure state of Ishvara. Okay? These are very subtle topics, but your intellect will be able to pick up all this because we are going step by step along with Shankaracharya's explanation. So there is no external bhuta or vishaya without that pure Brahman. That is what is the ultimate conclusion. Okay? Internal vasanas are created in the dream world. So, in the waking state itself, when we try to close our eyes, we will be able to experience the dream state as well as the sleep state. How? This is what Shankaracharya explains here. He says when you try to recollect the sleep state in the waking state, that is what is called as experience of prajna in the waking state. You're not going to you're not going to the sleep state. Sleep state is a natural state of our experience. But when you try to experience, try to remember, this is called pratyabhijna, remembrance. So, remembrance, when you do of that sleep state in the waking state, that I experience nothing. That is what is called as experience of prajna in the waking state. Okay, this is what is said in the second Karika. What it says is, even in the waking state itself, when we close our eyes and we start recollecting what we have experienced in the previous waking states, that is called as the dream state. That is called as the Taijasa. Suppose try to remember my sleep state, it is called as Prajnavastha in the waking state. See, this is a very uh, tricky portion of the Karika number 2. But if you go through this analysis in the way I'm explaining, you will be able to understand that all the three avasthas are experienced in the waking state itself. This is a very new, brilliant expansion of the Upanishad itself by Gaudapadacharya. Okay, so when you try to analyze this, then you can easily understand prana is equal to prajna. Okay, so now Purva Pakshi comes back again and comes back with another answer, and he wants to again go back to that sixth section. This is the sixth section. This is the first section about in Chandogya Upanishad. Then what he is saying is, after saying the Upanishad, after saying that the Jivatma merges with Sat, Jivatma who's traveling in the Jagrat and Sopna comes back to the nest. But what is that nest? The nest of Ishvara is Karana Saguna Brahma, which is Maya Sahitam Brahma. That is what we have said so far. Now, Prana Bandhanat hi Somya Manaha. That is what is said here in the Prana Bandhanat hi Somya Manaha iti. Now, Jiva is referred as Manaha. See, this Manaha doesn't mean mind here. Pranabandhanati somya manaha. The jiva is tied up with this Ishvara. After traveling in the Jagrat and the Swapna, this jiva is resting with Ishvara. Purva Pakshi takes the third pada, whereas Shankaracharya takes it as the fourth pada. Okay. Now he is asking Prana Bandhanat Sat. What is this Prana Bandhanat Sat? Is it the third pada? Is it the fourth pada? Is it the Turiya pada? Is it the Ishvara pada? Shankaracharya says ultimately it is the fourth pada only, but for understanding purposes, there is an introduction of the third pada in which there is ignorance along with that Shakti, Maya Shakti. Jiva merges into Karanam Sat, but not a Karanam Sat. There is no dosha. There is no dosha. Jiva merges in the Karanam Sat. Karanam Sat means what? Ishvara. Not in Akaranam Sat, which is Turiya. From experiential angle, there is no difference between Vyashti and Samashti in the Prajnavastha. This is just a repetition of what I said before. Jiva and Ishvara, there is no difference in the third pada. Okay. So the first pada and the second pada, they are the Karya status. What is statusless? That is what is called as Turiya. That is the ultimate. Now, Sat Brahma Prajna Ishvara is the third part. It is in between the waking dream and the ultimate Turiya. So, Sat, when we say Sat in that Chandogya Upanishad mantra, it can either reveal directly, it can reveal the Ishvara. Sat means Ishvara, direct revelation, which is called as Vachyartha. Indirectly, it will reveal what? The pure consciousness, which is not related to anything in the world. That is why we call it Asanga nature. For revelation of that pure Atma, which is Turyatma, here Shankaracharya says that there is no word. Now he gives us 4 references to say that pure Brahman, Turyam, cannot be explained by words. Now we'll see which are the 4 verses he quotes from where. See, look at how Shankaracharya now goes a little bit deeper. He says that prana, if it was going to refer in that Chandogya mantra, if it was going to refer to that Sat Brahman, it cannot be so because of the following reason. Sat, pure Sat cannot be described. It can be only claimed as I, the Turiyam. So when you close your eyes in meditation, indirectly what you should say, you have to go through the waking, dream, and sleep. That is why they say there is a Omkara meditation, A, U, Ma, and then silence. Okay. That is how you meditate. And that is what he is trying to explain in this mantras now. So, what is the topic here? How this ultimate state of ours cannot be revealed by words. That is the topic we are discussing. There are four references given by Shankaracharya. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. That is the first reference he gives. And this comes in Taittiriya Upanishad. Okay. Then the second mantra is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and this is what it says, Neti Neti. This comes in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4:4:22. And once you know this Turiyam Brahma, you will be fearless. That is what is said in the 25th mantra of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Now, the next Upanishad Shankaracharya quotes is Keno Upanishad. What does it say about the Turiyatma? Na tatra chakshur gachati, na vag gachati, no manaha, na vigmaha, na vijanimaha. No one can explain this Turiyatma. Why? Because eyes cannot go there, speech cannot go there, mind cannot go there. We also don't know how to instruct it, but the Guru knows it because he uses the Veda to explain to us. Because Veda is the Pramana. Like the eyes are the Pramanam for the form and color, Veda is the Pramanam. Which portion of the Veda? The seventh mantra of Mandukya. Every Upanishad has got one mantra, which is the Mahavakya. Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Tat Jnanat Darshanam Etak Jnanamidi Proktam Ajnanam Yadanyonyatha. Self-knowledge is declared to be that knowledge which is opposed to ignorance. See, indirectly we are trying to reveal Atma. We are not trying to reveal the self. It is say what is the Bhagavad Gita saying? It is saying it is something which is not, it is opposite to ignorance. So Nirbija Brahman can't be revealed positively. It can be only revealed as Neti Neti, or opposite to ignorance, or na tatra chakshur gachati. There are so many mantras. There are yatho vacho nivartante. These are the mantras which tell us that Brahman cannot be described. So therefore, what that 682, that mantra of Chandogya Upanishad does not refer to Param Brahm. It doesn't refer to that Turiya Brahman. It refers to the Karyam. It refers to the Karanam of the world, which is Ishvara, which is with Maya Shakti. See, when we study all this, we understand a little bit more deeper this Maya Shakti. Normally, we don't understand what is Maya Shakti. But when we go through these verses on the sleep state, how Shankaracharya explains this, we can understand a little bit more about that Maya Shakti and what lies beyond the Maya Shakti. So here Shankaracharya says, if prana was revealing the Nirbijam Brahma, there will be problems. What are the problems? In Sushupti, suppose Jiva merges with Akaranam Brahma, he will never get up back from sleep. He will never come back to the waking state again. So therefore, Shankaracharya says that, O Purva Pakshi, your analysis is wrong. When the Jiva merges in the sleep state, he is merging with Ishvara. He is not merging with Brahman. If you can follow this, then you have understood the gist of this entire second Karika. Okay. Here what he says is, if Jiva merges into Shuddham Brahma, moksha will mean all sleeping Jivas. That means what the Guru has to do, you want moksha, go to sleep. You want moksha, go to sleep. But that is not the truth because there is teaching involved. What is the teaching involved? Don't go to Sushupti Avastha in the waking state. Bring that Sushupti Avastha in your mind and ask the question, what lies beyond that Sushupti Avastha? That is what is my pure state. And that state is birthless, it is deathless, it is immortal, it is the ultimate revelation of all the Upanishads which exist for learning. Okay? So that is what Shankaracharya is explaining in this word. Suppose jivas merge into the Karanam, then after merging, they will not come back. There will be, there will be, then what will happen is, jnana sadhanam. That means there is no shravanam required, there is no mananam required, there is no nididhyasam required. Then there will be rebirth for the mukta purusha also. Moksha itself will not have any meaning. That's what Shankaracharya argues with the Purva Pakshi. In this argument, we get to know a little bit more about our nature. Again, Shankaracharya explains this further. It says, if the seed of ignorance to be burnt by jnanam is not there, suppose ignorance is not there, then what will happen? Then there will be the possibility of knowledge being useless. Jnana anarthakyam prasanga. That means, suppose ignorance was not there, the study of Upanishads will not be required at all. No Brahma Sutra, no Bhagavad Gita, nothing will be required. Okay. During sleep, Ajnanam continues. Deha Abhimana, Ahamkara, Mamakara, Kartutvam, Bhoktrutvam. This Adhyasa is absent. Try to understand this. Very beautiful analysis. What happens in sleep? I don't have, I am a doer notion. I am a enjoyer notion. You don't have even the I. Ahamkara. In the waking state, I have the ahamkara. See, you can now compare in the waking state, I say I am doing, I am enjoying, I'm listening to the class. But in the sleep state, nothing of this is there. That is what is called as adhyasa. Pure state is there, but when the mind is active, adhyasa is born. When the mind is passive, adhyasa goes away. But what happens? My real status of being Karya Karana Vilakshana Atma remains the same. Okay. So, what is Shankaracharya's conclusion now? What he says is this ahamkara, I notion, and mamakara, that I I possess all these things, mamakara, these are mine. I notion, ahamkara. I am the body. I am the mind. This is ahamkara. I have a possession. I have a house. I have a wife. I have children. I have so much $1 million in my bank. All this is mamakara. Both these notions are not there in sleep. This I notion and my notion is born out of what? Have you ever thought about it? No. Shankaracharya reveals to us that this I and mine is born out of ignorance. Why he is so confident? Because Upanishad is saying Sushupti Avastha is Ajnana Avastha. It is pure Mula Avidya Ajnana. Mula Avidya Ajnana means not Ajnana about the body of the waking state and all that. Not that I am Vijaya, I am Shekhar, I am Anand, I am so and so. No, not that Ajnana. It is the Ajnanam of what lies beyond that sleep state, which is my real identity. If my Ajnanam is removed, then what happens? At Maranam, Jnani merges with the Akaranam Brahma. Try to remember this word Akaranam. Very important word. Because the ultimately God or the truth is revealed as not a cause of this world. Just keep this knowledge at the back, because this akaranam word will be used again in the fourth chapter, not now, after about maybe after about 6 months, 1 year, when we do the fourth chapter. How jnani becomes free from ajnanam, what happens to jnani? That is what is Shankaracharya saying. Jnani becomes useful and hence he is revered. A jnani can teach others. Ajnani continues his ignorance, therefore he is always in samsara. During Sushupti, Jiva merges in the Akaranam Brahma. If you say you won't have to work for Shravanam, Manam, Nrityasanam, this is a continuation of that conclusion which we have made in the previous slides. Is Ajnanam absence of knowledge in the form of Abhava Rupam? Now, this is another topic. We have finished the previous section where we talked about whether the Jiva merges with Karanam Brahma or Akaranam Brahma. So we said the Jiva merges in Sushupti in the Karanam Brahma, which is Ishvara. Now, the next technical question. See, some people, they enjoy these technical questions because their intellect will start analyzing, and then they enjoy this analysis. Here, what we are analyzing is, what is this ignorance? Is it bhava rupam or is it abhava rupam? I'll explain this to you, but maybe next week we'll continue this a full analysis. Bhava rupam means what? Okay, let me give you the answer. The answer is ignorance is bhava rupam. It is not abhava rupam. That is the final answer. And then there are arguments for this, which I will go through it. First, Shankaracharya says, Ajnana means what? It is absence of knowledge. Abhava rupam, it is absence of knowledge. That suppose you say it is absence of knowledge, it is abhava rupam. Then what happens? Then you need not gain knowledge to remove abhava rupam. When you say abhava rupam means it is not existent. Non-existence of knowledge, suppose you say, is ignorance. It doesn't exist. If you say that, then what happens? Then there is no requirement, because if something is non-existent, by knowledge you cannot remove it. So it cannot be abhava rupam. It has to be bhava rupam. It is not absence, but something is negated by jnana. When I get the knowledge, suppose there is darkness in the room and you put the light on, I get the knowledge of things in the room. So that ignorance when I had of when the light was not there, that ignorance, is it bhava rupam or again abhava rupam? Is it non-existent or it is It is a bhava. It means it is existent ignorance, not non-existent ignorance. So bijam, therefore, ajnanam can't be abhava rupam. If ajnana is abhava rupam, you don't have to acquire jnanam. Ajnanam of mula vidya is not non-existent, but it is existent. Now, this analysis is done by another commentator, which is Anandagiri. See, when we read Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, Shankaracharya quotes this. He says, Anandagiri says, ignorance is bhava rupam, it is not abhava rupam. So, Mula Vidya is Satrupaha. If it is if it is Satrupaha, if it is Satrupaha, that means if it is pure consciousness, there will be problems. Mula Vidya is ignorance. Ignorance is not Sat. It is if suppose it is Sat. Suppose it is Sat means what? If it is suppose it is existent. See, ignorance we say is neither existent, it is neither non-existent. It is something which appears, but it can be removed. Same thing like your rope snake. Rope snake, I am seeing it. Why? Because of ignorance. That ignorance can be removed. So ignorance of the rope snake is bhava. So suppose it was sat, then it can never be eliminated. So ignorance is not sat, it is not sat. What is it then? What is this ignorance? What is this maya? What is this avidya? What is this mula avidya? The only word which can be used for maya or ignorance is it is anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya means inexplicable ignorance. Why does a person see that rope as a snake? Inexplicable. Nobody can say why is he? The only answer we can say is he is ignorant. But why and how did this ignorance come? No, anirvachaniya. Similarly, this waking and dream state, why do we take it as real? Anirvachaniya. We don't know why we take it as real. Actually, it is anirvachaniya. We don't know. It is the ignorance which which is the cause. Ignorance of what? Not of the waking or real, but ignorance of the satvastu. Ignorance of the turiya avastha. In all Upanishad, prana, prajna, Ishvara is called as Jagat Karanam. Okay. Now I'll stop at this stage with this slide. I will continue with this slide. Like I told you, there are another 15 more slides, 15 more pages like this for the second Karika itself. See how deep we are going. So much of depth is required because we want to get ourselves free from our identification with this body. Okay, so we'll begin with the slide number 437 next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Ramachandra has got a remark in the chat box. What he says is a new point I've learned today about this ignorance. With the influence of this ignorance, the jiva spends numerous births, which is true. And he turns to the knowledge to drop this jiva bhava. Is my understanding right? Perfect. Ramachandra, you've got perfect understanding of what we discussed today. Good. Uh, I'm glad to be able to put it across. So this is how each one of you have to remember what we have learned uh, during our sessions. Uh, if you have any other questions, Shanmugam is unmuting everybody, and you can ask your questions. Um, Ramachandra, can you let me? You can unmute yourself and then you can speak.
Namaste, sir. So my question is, in the beginning there was only one, right? That is Atman.
Correct. In the beginning, there was only Atma.
Atman. So then from Atman only the Maya Shakti, his own Shakti, the Atman's Maya Shakti, and he again got deluded by the Maya Shakti. That is, I mean, is it for a, I mean, what exactly is the purpose? I mean, how do we justify that he created a Maya Shakti and he himself became a victim of it?
No, no, no. Don't start your journey from Atma. You always start your journey from the Jiva. Jiva, where you are today, you start. You are a Jiva identified with the body and mind, and you are saying, I am suffering today. Don't start from the Atma. Atma is always free. It doesn't require any knowledge. But as a Jiva, you start from the Jiva. When you start from the Jiva, what happens? You have to trace back your uh, your footsteps.
Yes.
When you start the journey, first of all, what do you think about it? I am the body. But this body was born. Body was born to my parents. So body is not me. The body will disappear from this world. So body born and body disappearing is a fact of life. So it is not me. Okay. So the first analysis is what? I am not the body. Then what will you do? Next, you will say again, if you have been attending the Taittiriya Upanishad, you have to go through the Panchakoshas. Or now, if you want to do, you say, okay, I have a mind. This mind also, it'll go away. So, is this the truth of the world? Mind also, mind disappears. You see, mind. So, I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. Then what will you say? So this is one analysis. The next analysis you do, you go a little bit deeper. I have three avasthas. I have got three experiences of this world: waking world, dream world, sleep world. That is what is that analysis which the Mandukya is asking us to do. So in the waking world, this cannot be the truth because so many reasons are there. Again, the dream world is also not the truth which you know yourself. The sleep world. Now, in the sleep world is where your real beginning starts to understand who are you. Now, that is what we are analyzing in the Mandukya Upanishad. Through the Mandukya Upanishad, you try to drop the sleep avastha and then ask the question, who am I? And then the final answer is you are the Atma. So, don't start the journey as if you are a wise man. If you're a wise man, Jnani, you don't need all this. This Maya Shakti is there in you today as a Jiva. Ishvara, Atma, he is already aware of his Ishvara, Maya Shakti. So he will have no avidya. You and I, we have avidya, ignorance. Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I perfectly understand. And so this route, right, from Jiva to Brahman, I perfectly, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, I agree to whatever you say. and I
Correct.
am following that. Yes, I am very
Correct.
strictly
You,
following.
you, you, you should use this analysis for your moksha.
Yeah. Okay.
You cannot use the reverse for moksha because that is jnanam. Suppose you come to Atma level and Brahman level, you are already free. Then what happens? How will you analyze it? This whole world is mithya. The Jagrat is only also a mithya like dream world. Jagrat is mithya, waking, the Swapna is mithya. Then Sushupti is, it doesn't, Sushupti for a jnani doesn't exist. So then what happens? As Atma, you are ever free. You will say that I am Nitya Muktaha. So after knowledge, your standpoint becomes different. Now you're clear?
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So this is how you analyze these. You analyze in your own mind this way. Anyway, you will get a lot of knowledge as you go into Mandukya Upanishad. Very good. I'm very happy you are doing this type of analysis. Very good. But as you move forward, you will find many, many things coming to you and you will learn new things. Okay. Jacqueline, you have a question?
Oh, yes, Mr. Shekhar, hi. Can be very ignorant, but I just need to ask from the aspect that you have mentioned that we are always being illuminated by consciousness. So I'm talking about the sleep stage right now. To me, it's interesting, even whether we sleep 8 hours, 7 hours, or 3 hours, all these are illuminated by consciousness also, right?
Yes. The sleep state is also illuminated by the spiritual consciousness. It is a divine consciousness which illumines our sleep state also. That is the only reason you are saying that I went to sleep and I was sleeping. In the waking state, you are saying this.
Yes.
That is because there was something which was present even in the sleep state. That is the question you should ask yourself. Who was present in the sleep state which illumined my sleep experience?
Yeah.
Where I didn't experience the world, where I didn't experience my body, I didn't experience Jacqueline as Jacqueline.
Yes. So to me, of course, throughout the years until now, I have never thought of, oh, I sleep and I'm awake. This happened one day ago. Usually I don't oversleep that long. And it was extended. I said, oh, I wake up. Amazing. So then I also find that it seems like the sleeps, uh, the sleep is like elongated, in certain way. Doesn't mean that I am a human being. I don't have anything that is bothering me. But it's amazing that I don't know whether it's good or no good. But if I'm not wrong, if I heard that if you have less things that come into your mind is good as a spiritual seeker. Perhaps as a human being, they say, "Oh, you are so still. You are not doing anything." So that is a contrast that I'm asking. It seems like I may have a lot of things, in life, but it seems that I sleep better. What is that? Why is that way?
Okay. See that hours of sleep for each person is very, very different. The number of hours, for example, a jnani, he has only a 4 or 5 hour sleep and he is very, very relaxed and he is very, very fresh when he comes back into waking state. Similarly, people who do yoga, their sleep is far superior than to people who don't do yoga. For example, if you do pranayama and you do some certain exercises, your sleep quality will be better. Now, the duration of sleep is not important. The quality of sleep is important. And anyway, nobody has control over the sleep. in some indirect ways through yoga and all, we can try to get better sleep, but that is the duration of the sleep. First of all, you should understand the duration of the sleep is not under your control. It is under control of that total Ishvara, which is responsible for you to wake up every day.
Ah,
All
yes,
of
yes.
us. There
Okay.
is some controller, there is some on-off switch
Yeah,
for the body.
yeah,
Like you have an on-off switch in your room
yeah.
for the light to come in, there is an on-off switch in this body, who, and that controller is called as God.
Okay.
And the moment you get up, you will start acting. You start saying, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, what to do, I have to do this. The whole day is nothing but action, 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 action. Not only for you, everybody. That is why we call this entire waking state as a karma bhumi, as a field in which one wakes up to do actions and again goes to sleep, again wakes up to do some actions, again goes to sleep. The actions may be good, bad. You may have a lot of actions pending. Even in your deathbed, you will have so many pending actions because of other reasons which are connected with the law of karma, law of action. Anyway, have I answered your question?
Yes, that means even sleep, the duration is beyond our control. It's all being, yes.
Correct. It is beyond our control. Don't waste your time thinking why I slept 4 hours today, 3 hours today. It was, if you slept for the body has a natural way of getting the sleep which you lost last week, this week.
No, the reason is I have never thought of all these things, but because when I listen to all this, then I say, oh, why is it like that? Oh, that's why I prompted, I say it's ignorant, but then I want to ask the question. Okay,
Good.
appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline. Shanta, you have a question?
Yes, it's a bit different or difficult, I would say, for me to understand. But you mentioned as per Taittiriya Upanishad, when uh, the jivas are also in the mithya state, right? Because the body is mithya, is a projection. So the reflection of your of the Brahman in your body or Atma or whatever you call it, and which makes the body sentient is also mithya. My question is then, why create these jivas and give them a task of liberation? Is question number one. And the
So can
second
I
one
can
is,
I answer this
yeah,
question
yeah, yeah,
first?
sure. Yes,
So
sure.
this question is only with when you come to know that there is something called as liberation. Now only you're asking why this bondage.
Mm,
So the 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 starting point for all of us is this ignorance about ourselves. We must start always, like I explained to Ramchandra also, uh, don't take the role of Ishvara as you yourself as Brahman or Ishvara and ask the question, why this creation? Like the baker is asking, why the dream? As a dreamer, you will never be able to ask that question and you will never get an answer in the dream world. Similarly, in the waking world also, we cannot ask the question, why this waking world is there? It is there. I have to come out of it. That is how you should. Your task is that is how the Veda also wants us to think that you start
mm,
where you are, but
mm,
don't take the role of Ishvara and ask why this world was created. But as a jiva, when you ask this question, why Brahman created the world? No answer. Because our question is wrong. Why?
mm,
Because we are taking the world as real. Suppose you
mm,
take the world as exactly the same status as the dream.
mm,
Assume that okay, for some reason, because for you assume that you take the current waking world also the same status like a dream world. Then what happens? You will not ask this question. Okay, there was a dream, it went away. Similarly, there was a waking, it went away. But who are you? I am that Adhishtanam Brahman, pure consciousness. As Adhishtanam, as the super waker, what will I think? This waking world is a mithya. That's it. I am Satyam. So as Satyam, you're never bothered about mithya world. That is the way you should look at it. As a jiva, the problem is as a jiva, when you look at it, you're still having that the 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 power of that ignorance which is ruling your mind. So Mandukya slowly teaches us how I can get rid of this ignorance and then claim my sovereign divine nature, which is very, very beautiful. It is something which will blossom in all our minds as we study further and further.
So
What's the next question?
the second question was actually, um, when we say, that Sankaracharya explained that the sleep state, the Atma or the Jiva, does not merge with Brahman, because had it been, then you would be Mukta, and then all this study would be useless, because
Correct.
they would not be needed.
Hmm.
So it merges with something in between. Is that right to say?
Yes, you're right. That is what is
Yeah.
called as that Mithya Ishvara status, that Brahman with Maya. That is exactly where that is correct.
Yeah. So when it merges with something in between, we still wake up, and then we realize that we had a good sleep. So, what is that difference between, at that point, between Brahman and the Jiva and that middle state?
Okay. Uh, we have to look at it from the jiva's angle. From the Brahman status, there is no problem at all. We are talking about. Okay, let me
The two
tell you.
states, yeah.
Yeah, let me discuss this at two levels. One at the jiva level, another at the Brahman level. At the jiva level, what happens is tomorrow morning I'm anyway going to wake up again. Okay, so mukti or moksha, suppose it was in the sleep state. Suppose mukti means it. What this is exactly what Shankaracharya is saying. The Purva Pakshi said that Chandogya Upanishad says that you merge with Sat Brahman. That is what the Upanishad is saying. But now Shankaracharya, why are you saying that you merge with Maya, not with Sat Brahman? See, this is an extremely important point because this comes in every Upanishad. Prashna Upanishad discusses the same point again. Do we merge in pure Sat or do we merge in Maya? A Jnani will merge in pure Sat. Ajnani will merge in Maya. When Jnani wakes up in the morning, he will say, always, I was always as Sat. It was not only yesterday when I went to sleep, but Sat is my Swarupa. So he has dropped his ignorance and he has claimed this moksha. What about the Ajnani? Ajnani means we feel that they're going to sleep. Sleep is real for us. And sleep means, whether it's like, for example, Jacqueline was asking 8 hours sleep, 4 hours sleep, what is it? Now, for a Ajnani, when we go to sleep, what Shankaracharya says is, it is in, you are going to the seed state. That seed state is called as Mithya, or it is called as Avidya, it is called as Mula Vidya, it is called as Ishvara, whatever you may call it. We are going to that state, and then again, next day morning, you come back to this body. To explain why we come back to this body, we have to create an intermediary stage, which is what is the sleep state, explaining the sleep state, and saying that between that Brahman, which is pure Atma, if you are pure Atma, what are the qualifications as pure Atma? Suppose, for example, today, you have assumed that your ignorance is gone. Now, you have understood Mandukya Upanishad, you say you are Atma, you truly believe you are Atma. Then what happens? When you are Atma, you are not bothered about anything called as the body or mind, because in Atma, there is no body, no mind.
Mm.
And there is no Maya Shakti. Nothing is there except you yourself. That is the definition of Atma. That is the definition of Turiyam, which we are going to learn in the seventh mantra. Shankaracharya is preparing us how to understand the pure Atma. Before you understand that, try to understand your sleep first.
Mm.
Sleep is an avastha which is in between your pure state and your waking state.
Mm.
And sleep is closer to that Atma than it is closer to this waking state.
Waking.
So all knowledge, let us use this knowledge and slowly try to understand Shankaracharya's analysis, his logic, and let's go along with his logic at the time being. There is a lot of more things going to be said.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're clear now?
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Very good. Uh, Venkatesh, you have a question?
Yeah. I just had this question because in the slides, I read a statement that there will be rebirth for Mukta Purusha also. And immediately after that, I think we also was reading a statement that at Maranam Jnani merges with Akaranam Brahman. How this paradox?
No. There, what Shankaracharya is saying is, suppose you accept what the Purva Pashi is saying. Suppose you say that what the Purva Pakshi was claiming is you merge with the Sat Brahman. You merge with the Turiyam. You merge with the ultimate truth of the world. Then what happens? Then you will not be born again. That is what is called as the moksha state. You see, it is all happening cognitive process in your mind. But suppose you are coming back and you are having rebirth, it means that you have not merged with that Sat pure Brahman, but you have merged with the Karanam Brahman, which is what we all are. You see, whenever uh, our merger what merges. See, let us try to understand what merges. Body doesn't merge. Body is part of this waking world. It is made up of Panchabhutas. Mind also doesn't merge. Okay. What merges is the ego, the I. The ego, the I which comes up in the morning when you wake up, I am alive, I am a human being. That I, it was absent in the sleep state. Try to get this point very clearly. Now, this I again gets reborn. When you wake up in the morning, again this I is born. What we have to understand is even when the body dies, this ego I only passes off from this body to another body. Like it passes off from this day to tonight, it goes away. This ego is not available. So during sleep, during maranam, during death, the same process happens. So don't worry about this ego I. Drop this ego I and see what is the substratum of this ego. See, this is where the rope snake example comes in. Ego I is a adhyasa. It is a jnana adhyasa. Adhyasa means superinterpretation. This is how Shankaracharya explains in the Adhyasa Bashyam. He says that all problems of samsara is nothing but it is adhyasa. If you are able to just understand this Adhyasa Bhashyam properly, Adhyasa is very simple, superimposition. I just now explained to you, ego is there in the sleep state, is not there in the sleep state, it is there in the waking state. So this superimposition is gone in the sleep state. There is another state. If you know about that state, which is the Turiya Avastha, which we will discuss in the seventh mantra, even in this current mantra, in the Karika number 2, Shankaracharya is trying to tell us that beyond this sleep state, there is another state, which is what is called as beyond the Karanam and Karya. See, I'm using a lot of technical terms because that is the only way I can go deep inside your mind and you can also go along with it.
Hmm.
You are able to get it, right? So forget the notes. Try to understand the gist of what we are discussing. The moment you are able to understand the gist, that is all. Because notes is always external. What you have to do is, what am I getting out of that? What am I understanding? Are you able to get the point?
So, the understanding we get is that the ultimate is Jnani do not take rebirth.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, even I, okay, for example, suppose I'm talking about Venkatesh, suppose he says, I am not that ego which is listening to the talk. I am the Atma on which this talk is going on, but it is not permanent. You also understand, Jnani is what? Jnani is, don't think Jnani is someone very, very far away and all that. Assume that you are that Jnani. Suppose you tell yourself, this entire waking state is a passing appearance. That is the ultimate knowledge which you will accept when we finish the Mandukya Bashyam. We just started with the second verse of the analysis. We have another 200 verses to go. But very good. Your question is good. Keep contemplation, because all these questions come out of contemplations. Very good. Keep this contemplation going. You will get your answers.
I'm sorry, Shekharji, I have
Yeah.
got a follow-on understanding of this question which Venkatesh asked.
Yeah.
When we talk about, this, I understand, as you explained, that we definitely know that the gist is when you're a jnani, you become a Jivan Mukta, there is no rebirth. But, when you explained about the sleep state, I was just still thinking that the mind doesn't go anywhere, mind doesn't merge and the body doesn't merge, right? So,
Yes.
and therefore all the indriyas don't merge. So what merges now? When we say the jiva merges, but there is I don't know, there is nothing solid about jiva, right?
Correct.
Because
That
we
is why
talk
the
about the reflected
Jivatvam,
consciousness.
yes, you see, the Jivatvam, the moment you understand that ego is
Yeah.
Jivatvam, it is the Jiva
Mm.
Bhava, that
Mm.
Jiva Bhava is not there in the sleep state.
Yeah, but when you actually the Jiva Bhava is not there, that is acceptable. But does it
Where
mean
does
that
the Jiva Bhava
reflected conscious?
merge?
Yeah,
Where does the
okay.
Jiva Bhava merge? Ask that question. Where does it merge? See, the waking state is making so much. It is taking such a big approach to life. But where does
Yeah,
the
but it could
Jiva?
it yeah, but could it not be said that when the mind switches off, your thought process switches off because mind is your instrument for running everything. So the thoughts come in the mind, and therefore it is automatically the jiva is switched off as a result of it, and the reflected consciousness is. Could it not be explained? I mean, I'm just trying to, give a
You're
counter
trying to
question.
explain the same process with the help of reflected consciousness.
Yeah.
That's good.
So would it not be then we can just say that well, once the mind is off, everything gets switched off, and so because the thoughts cannot come, and therefore the question of jivatvam will not come because Jivatvam is the one who goes on saying, I am doing this, I am doing that. But that I'm doing that is, or, doing this and that, can only be activated when the mind is on.
Correct. You see, as a jiva, when you wake up tomorrow morning again, if you know that this jivatvam is a appearance, then you are
Yeah.
yourself called as a jnana.
Hmm.
See, Shanta herself becomes a jnani because this process is every day happening. That ego going, merging with the self. Ego going, merging with the self.
Hmm.
Whether it merges during the night time or whether it merges during death or I don't care. That is what Shankaracharya finally says. Whatever happens to the ego, if you don't bother about it and
Hmm.
let that appearance happen, keep happening anytime. It doesn't matter. But
So from the
that is
point
how
of,
you
yes,
become from Ajnani to a Jnani.
yeah, so
You
from the point
transform.
of, from the point of reflected consciousness point, that means the reflection is not there at that time, because would it be right to say?
Because the
Because
medium
the
is not
mind
there.
is gone to sleep. Yes,
Medium is not there. You see, the
medium is not there
reflecting
because the mind
medium
is the
is not
medium.
there.
Yeah.
Therefore, no reflection. Therefore, the reflection has merged with the original Bimba Chaitanya.
Hmm. But I would look at it, Shekharji, as when the reflection, it's almost like if mirror is reflecting my face, I have covered the mirror, and it's almost like
Okay,
switching
correct.
off.
That is what is ignorance. You're covered means what? To put a black cloth over it, over the mirror. That is
Hmm.
what is called as Mula Vidya. Very
Hmm.
good example. You
Hmm.
yourself has given example of what is Mula Vidya. What is this ignorance which I am got? Suppose I remove that covering, I see my face.
Yeah,
My face is what? Chaitanyam. I am
Chaitanyam.
pure
And that is where
consciousness.
is my, yeah.
Correct. At the moment I cover that, and then what I again when I
So
cover
that
that,
is your
what
sleep and
happens?
you're waking. So in the ignorant
Yes,
sleep, mool ignorant sleep is actually like covering the mirror, and
that's
taking
correct.
off the mirror is waking. But when you
Yes,
become a jnani, you don't have to cover, but you still know that you are, um, you know, you don't, this is all mithya. Would
yes,
that be right?
correct. You see, the moment you come to Satyam and Mithya, the moment it
Mm,
strikes your intellect, there is
mm,
Satyam in the world and there is Mithya in the world. Satyam is I, the pure I.
mm,
Whatever experience is Mithya. That is why Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya is the final teaching of Shankaracharya.
mm.
Again and again, let your
So,
mind to look,
yeah.
go around this Satyam Mithya
Mm,
concept. Whatever
mm,
experience in the world is Mithya.
mm,
Whether it is waking state, whether it is panchakoshas, whether it is my body,
mm,
anything you experience is Mithya. Jagan
mm,
Mithya, Jagan Mithya, Jagan Mithya.
mm,
Aham Satyam. Don't forget that. Aham Satyam means I
mm,
am the substrate.
mm,
I am that rope. Without the
mm,
rope, there's no rope snake.
mm,
You see, that is why it says that Turiyam is the rope. Ultimately, you have to
mm,
realize I am the Turiya Atma. The
mm,
waking dream and sleep is the rope snake.
mm,
And it's all caused by avidya. There are some more lessons which we are going to learn that what is the difference between waking and sleep. In the sleep state, it is only avidya. In the waking state, it is avidya and vikshepa. Projection after projection.
mm,
Whole day I'm projecting, the mind is projecting. I must do this, I must do that. And at the same time, I don't know who I am.
mm,
So the waking state has got both
mm.
Vikshepa and Ajnanam. The sleep state has got only
Only
Ajnanam.
Ajnanam.
So if I understand the sleep state correctly and remove that Ajnanam, I am free.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
That lesson is going to come in the following sessions.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Good. So many questions, so many answers. Very, very good. Okay. So shall we stop here? If unless somebody has a burning question, we'll stop here. Thank you. We'll see you again next Sunday. This is a very interesting section which we are covering. Another 14, 15 slides are there. on this second Karika itself, you can see what is the depth in which we are studying Mandukya. It's an amazing experience. Go through this Bhashyam. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very
have
much.
Hari Om.
Thank you,
Hari
Shashanji.
Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste.